What's up with your butter? Surprisingly, a lot of you guys missed that in my last story time and y'all were like, you know what? Now my butt is feeling a little abandoned. She didn't say it. So welcome back to my channel with your fine ass. I hope you guys are doing amazing. Today is Valentine's Day, which is why I have this ensemble on and the little earrings. You see the earrings? Get cute! Welcome back to my channel for my Glamazons, and if you're new here, what's up? My name is Nikki. I tell story times and I like true crime, and I just want to make my channel anything that I'm interested in. So if you're into that, definitely subscribe. This is about my homegirl that I was telling you guys about that I used to live near when I was a freshman in high school, and she was the one that my mama did not like. Now, if you guys haven't seen the first story, I believe it here. Definitely watch that first so it kind of makes sense. But in a nutshell, you know, I meet this girl. She's a little bit older than me. She ended up going to the same high school that I was going to. Was she like a great role model? No. But like, did she ask to be my role model? No. At the end of the day, when my mom found out, and especially when she found out that I was skipping school with Elena, she did not want me to be friends with her at all whatsoever, okay? And I don't know about y'all, but like, sometimes I used to feel like back in the day, especially like that my mom felt that way about almost everybody. And I'd be like, you don't want me to have no friends. Just say that. It really was this experience with Elena that made me realize that my mom definitely sees things that I did not peep or see at all. If you've had anything like this happen, definitely buckle in, because you're probably about to relate. Let me get my energy drink real fast, girl, because I already know I'm about to get hyped up in this story. When my mom and I moved to this side of town, my mom was pretty big into like getting me involved into the community and like really trying to plant roots. It just did not seem to work out that way overall, but she really did try. One constant, no matter where I was moving, where I was living, we were always going to church. We always found like a neighborhood church. I've been in the church since I was a little girl. So my mom and I end up getting involved in this church that's in our neighborhood, right? And my mom, when my mom gets involved in a church, she gets involved. Girl, every single time I turned around, my mom was getting involved in choir. My mom can sing. Not sing, she can sing. And I'm not even just saying that. Like, she really can sing. Like, she used to open up back in the day for Tejano artists. Story time about that another day. So every time my mom and I used to go to church, you know, there would be like praise and worship. And I swear and everything, my mom would use this time to like show up and show out, okay? So everybody would end up hearing it. Everybody would be like, oh my gosh, she could sing. And then before I knew it, like the pastor and the staff, they were coming to my mom asking her to be a part of the praise and worship team or the choir or whatever. And then my mom would end up doing that. Of course, with my mom getting to know everybody, then, you know, I was kind of put in the position to kind of get to know like all of the kids and, you know, the teenagers and stuff. So I started going to youth group, and I was at this church a lot because my mom had rehearsal, and then we had like, you know, our Sunday school? No, youth group. We had youth group during... I did not just say Sunday school, bitch. No, we had youth group on Sundays, you know, obviously. And then, you know, we would have like the rehearsal times. And a lot of times the people that were on the praise and worship team, they had kids. And so their kids and then me, like we would all end up hanging out on rehearsal days. Does that make sense? I met a little boy. His name was Jordan. I think he was like a few years, maybe like a year or two older than me. He went to a completely different school. He lived in a completely different neighborhood. And I ended up hearing him sing, and he could sing, and I was like, Scott! So, you know, immediately I have a crush on him, and I ended up joining the choir for youth group. So he and I start singing together, girl, and like it was like a singing fairy tale, bitch. And we end up becoming boyfriend and girlfriend. He asked me to be his girlfriend, and I was like, of course. So remember when I told y'all that like I wasn't finding my place in this new school? Like I just could not. It didn't matter how much I tried. Like I just wasn't vibing with nobody. Nobody's personality. Like you could just tell we were all very different. I end up, you know, getting really involved in the church, and I'm more so looking forward to going to the church, not because I want to praise God. Again, I know heathen, but because I literally, besides Jordan, I actually had my friends there that I look forward to seeing, but also I had a boyfriend there. So it took the pressure off of me, you know, to try to find a boyfriend at school, and because I didn't find nobody attractive. Like there was nobody, girl, when I tell you like Ugg mugs, and it's so funny because in my last story time, so many of y'all were like, I have not heard Ugg mugs in so long, like bitch. That was my jam. Like I used to call boys Ugg mugs to their face. When I got with Jordan, I was that girl. Like when I came back to school and I was like, y'all don't even know. I have my man. No, he does not go here. Okay. Like he's not one of y'all lanes. So that made me even more uninvested into my school. Cause like, it was like my whole life was outside of the school. Anyways, girl, as the story goes, you already know my mom was hella strict when I was a kid, and she knew that we were there by ourselves in Colorado. And now as a parent, and now that I'm older, I see it. But back then, girl, I felt like the reins were pulled tight. At this time, my mom said that I couldn't date until I was 16. So it goes without saying, girl, that she did not know anything about Jordan, okay? I don't know, at some point or another, I ended up telling Elena about Jordan. Now, even though my mom tried her hardest to keep me away from her and me not be friends with her, obviously, like, I was going around her, and that was what my last story time was about, is me sneaking to go see Elena and have my friendship with her. So at some point or another, I end up telling Elena about Jordan, and I'm like, yeah, you know, like, I met my mans, and like, I have a mans or whatever, and I met him here, and we've been together for this long, and she was like really happy for me, and she was like, good for you for not like dating anybody at our lame ass school. Like, she really hated our school. And also, she was super big on like other girls not knowing who your boyfriend is. She was like, because they are fucking trifling, and the minute they find out who your boyfriend is, like, they will be flirting with him like every chance that they get. And I was like, what? She goes, as she was telling me up and down that the girls that we went to school with, like, that they had done that to her so many times, and that like she had been done wrong by so many girls, and like you couldn't trust no bitches here, and you know, stuff like that. So I was like, shit. Fast forward, and I just kind of start building this life of secrecy, which usually happens whenever you're a child of a strict parent. You don't listen, you just end up finding out ways to become more sneaky and get away with it anyway. So the sneakiest people are always kids that came from strict parents. Like, we know how to do some thing. If you know, you know. First things first, I started skipping. My mom found out. Then I got a boyfriend. My mom did not find out. I still was talking to Elena. She had no idea. And every single week, it felt like I was kind of like testing the boundaries more and more. And I started noticing that I was getting away with a lot more than I would have at any other time. And I was like, what's different? After a while, you get a little bit sloppy, and I would like come home like a little bit late from Elena's house, and she still wouldn't even be home yet. And like stuff like that. And like, she used to go through my phone and make sure I wasn't talking to nobody, and she stopped doing that too. So like, I was like texting Jordan and stuff, and she had no idea. And I was like, how is this happening? So I started hanging out with Elena more often. I wasn't skipping school or anything. Mom started coming home later and later, you know, in the evening, like not too late, but she would come home like an hour and a half later than she usually does, girl, which was so out of the norm. Well, come to find out, Beach, this was around the time that my mom met my ex-stepdad. Like, this was the time that like they were like just now starting to get to know each other and like, I guess like talking or whatever. So that situation and the budding of that relationship was distracting my mom from me. Do you know what it's like to have a single mother and it's just you and her? Do you know how hard it is to get away with anything when it's just you and your mom? And like, literally the only person that she has to look at, the only person that has her full undivided attention is you. Okay, so one day comes around, and my mom ends up telling me that she met this guy at work, and it's like nothing serious. She kept telling me that like, it's nothing serious, not like that, because like I got really excited, and I was like, oh my god, mom, like this is the first time you're dating like here in Colorado, like good for you. And she was like, no, it's like not like that, but like, you know, he is really funny. She starts telling me about this guy, and it all started making sense, and I was like, oh, my mom has a boo thing. Okay, my mom's doing her own thing, I'm gonna go do mine. After this, it was no holds barred. Fast forward, and going to Elena's house and hanging out in her driveway was not enough for me anymore. I wanted to go somewhere with my friends. I wanted to, like, you know, go do things. So on days that, you know, we had off from school, you know, like the random days, like random holidays and teacher work days and stuff like that where you don't have no school, she and I would link up, and we would go to the mall. We would go to the movies. We would just go to like a park. We would go to the corner store, buy some chips. Like, we would just go and do random shit and then make sure that we're home at the right time so that I wouldn't get caught. So I start hanging out a lot with Elena, and like, we're just like running these streets. This entire time, I'm also maintaining my relationship with Jordan. Relationship is so like not, it was like very much surface, and you know, texting throughout the day, maybe like a phone call at night, and that was pretty much it. But now it's kind of happening more often. He's hearing from me more often. He did know that my mom was pretty strict, so he already knew the rules. So he was like taking my lead, and he started getting used to hearing from me a lot. And I noticed that like something in our relationship kind of shifted, and you could tell that he was like becoming more invested, I guess would be the right term, because he was just like wanting to know where I was, what I was doing more often, like calling me more often. And it was more so like a regular relationship than it was before. Of course, like with hanging out with Elena, you know, just talking to him on the phone and texting him wasn't enough. So one day comes around and Jordan was like, hey, what you doing? And I was like, nothing. And he was like, you know, I really miss you. Like, is there any way that I can see you? So I start coming up with plans on how I can feasibly see Jordan. Like, can I maybe ride the bus to a mall, or maybe ride the bus to a park or something like that? Now, keep in mind, he lived in a completely separate neighborhood than I did and went to different schools and shit. So he probably, if I had to put a time on it, I think he would live like, he lived a good like 20, 25 minutes away, girl. So we didn't even go to the same grocery store, no nothing. So he was kind of in the sense of like being a teenager, he lived pretty far, you know? I remember a good like handful of times that we tried to see each other, and his mom, his mom fucking knew about me. His mom knew my name. His mom knew that we were dating. Keep in mind, this lady goes to church with my mama, because his dad was like in the praise and worship team with my mother. So like, when I found out that Jordan told his mom about me, I was so pissed. And like, he was like, look, I already told her the situation. Like, she's not going to say nothing to your mom. And I was like, oh my God, y'all. Like, I was about to like break up with his ass for that. And I was like, do you understand like what would happen? Why would you tell your mom? And he was like, because like, y'all know how boys are. They don't have to hide shit. So he was like, you know, I just told her. And I was like, anyways, y'all. So this lady fucking knew and did not tell my mother. And like, that is a parental code, bitch. You better not be hiding shit. Now that I'm a parent, do you know what I would do if some little boy's mom knew that my daughter was like dating her son and didn't fucking tell me? Woman to motherfucking woman, mother to mother, bitch. Because it's one thing to know about it, but bitch, it's a whole other thing to do what this lady did. Because Jordan told his mom, obviously, about me. And then we started trying to make plans to see each other. And this lady was driving her son to come meet me in different places. I tried to meet up at the park, but then like, you know, I'd missed the bus, or like I didn't have a way there, and like somehow, some way it would fall through. And his mom was kind of getting frustrated because like she was driving him to these different places and then I wasn't able to make it. Meanwhile, she's keeping all of this from my mom. Like, she knows that she's driving her son around town to try to meet up with me, and my mom has no idea. And if my mom ever found out, she would have whooped that lady's ass, like no problem. I digress. So this happens a good, like, I want to say like 3-4 times, enough for me to get embarrassed, because Jordan was like, you know, this keeps falling through. I just really want to see you. I just have a feeling that's not possible. You know, you're not able to, you know, come and meet me halfway. Because his big thing is that his mom didn't want to drive him all the way to my side of town. And it was hard for me to get all the way over there. So that was the big conflict. I don't know at what point this was or why, but we didn't have school. Elena and I were texting each other, and we decided to take a trip to Target, you know, just to go shoot the shit and just go walk around. And I walked down to like the edge of my street, and she would come pick me up. We would take off. So we take off, we go to Target. The Target trip happens, you know, we go to like a little corner store, pick up some snacks, we head home. The next time we do this, we end up going to the mall. And we went to this big mall that actually had a Target that was attached to it. So we go to this mall, we're like walking around, and I just remember walking around Target with Elena, and I got a call, and I looked at my phone, and it was Jordan. I pick up, and I'm like in a great mood. I'm out and about with my girl, and you know, I pick up and I'm like, hello, what's up? Like, hey. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? And so I told him, I was like, you know, nothing. I'm just out here with my girl. Like, we're walking around Target. And he was like, where at? He was like, you should have told me. I was like, right over there this morning. And I was like, oh, babe, I had no idea. Next time you go there, like, let me know. I'll meet you there. And I was like, I don't know why I didn't think of this before. Like, obviously, I'm going to different places with Elena. Like, why not have Elena drive me to one of these places to go meet up with Jordan? Like, what the fuck? And the moment, I think it was because Elena had a job. And I never really knew when she worked. I knew that she worked a lot. Kind of felt bad to ask her, not only for rides to school, but like now rides to go see my boyfriend. So I think that may have been the reason why. But anyways, girl, this just opened up a whole new side of my mind. And I start telling her, and I'm like, yeah, you know, everything's going great. And I was like, the only thing is like, he's been wanting to hang out outside of church. I was like, and it's just been really hard to meet up with him. I didn't want to beat around the bush with Elena. And I was like, I'm just going to ask you for a favor. And also, bitch, I felt like she owed me a fucking favor. Because let's not forget, okay? I helped you get all of your shit out of your crazy ex-boyfriend's house, all right? Like, I literally skipped school and risked my ass to fucking help you. So I felt like, you know, she kind of owed me a favor, right? And she was like, what's up? And I was like, so you know that I can't see Jordan a whole lot because, you know, my mom or whatever, I'm not allowed to be dating and I don't have a car. I was like, would you be fine with, like, sometimes when we go out, like, to the mall or whatever, if we meet up with Jordan? But, like, I didn't want to be there with her, so I was essentially asking her, like, can you, like, fucking drop me off? Like, here we go. I get the A-OK from Elena that she's gonna start fucking, like, giving me rides to go see my mans. And I'm, like, so happy, and I start feeling like an actual teenager, like, you know, being able to do these things and go see my boyfriend and, you know, have my crazy friend and, like, just be all up in these streets. I end up texting Jordan. I'm so excited. I'm like, hey, my friend is, like, totally down to, like, give me rides to go meet you. Fast forward, and my mom starts going on actual dates, bitch. Getting ready and leaving the house. This was, like, so crazy for me. And part of me, it was like a bittersweet feeling because I knew that she was, like, all up my butt and, like, all up in my business when she was home. But to know that she was, like, out there with somebody else that I didn't really know, I was kind of worried about her, but also, like, it was just weird, right? So I start seeing her getting dressed and, like, leaving, and I had, like, these conflicting feelings about it, but I didn't really let it settle because I had my own shit going on. So she starts heading on these dates, and it starts becoming apparent that this relationship is getting a little serious, and I had not seen my mom in a relationship in a good minute. Fast forward some time, and Jordan and I set a date to, like, meet at the mall together, right? At the same mall that I was at when I took his car. The day comes around that I'm supposed to be meeting my mans, and I get a text from him, and he's like, hey, we have a problem. What's going on? And he was like, my parents are fighting. Like, what? And he was like, yeah. And, like, this is, like, hermano from the church, yo. Like, what you mean they're fighting? I mean, I know everybody fights, but, like, I don't know, like, this is fucking weird. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, and it's bad. Like, he was like, so my mom's, like, not in the mood to drive me nowhere right now because, like, they're in the middle of their fight. And I was like, oh shit. So immediately my heart sinks, and, like, my heart sinks for him because, you know, he's in the middle of that, but also now I can't see him. He doesn't have a way to the mall, and, like, y'all, he sounded like really sad, and, like, he sounded kind of not frantic, but just like he did not want to be there. And he was like, I would do anything right now to leave. So I hear him like this, and immediately, like, I start worrying, you know, like a girlfriend. And I was like, oh my God, like, no, I'm still going to see you today. Like, I need to be there for you. Like, let me just ask my friend if she can give you a ride too, like, you know, from your place to the mall. And then I'll find my own way to the mall. I get off the phone with him and I call Elena. So I called her, she didn't answer, and I'm like, fuck, you know, like, we already had plans for her to come to my house to come pick me up. I just didn't want her to do all that if I'm asking her to go a separate direction, you know what I mean? Within, like, a minute or two, she calls me back and she's like, hey girl, I'm on my way. And I was like, wait. I was like, have you left yet? And she was like, nah, I'm in the parking lot. Why? And I was like, can I ask you for a favor? You won't have to come pick me up. And she was like, okay, well, what do you need? Now, her job was, like, halfway from our house to his house. So, like, it was a perfect spot. And so I was like, can you please pick him up from his house? His parents are fighting. Like, he just wants to leave. He wants to get some air. His mom won't drive him to the mall. And she was like, well, what about you? And I was like, I literally have the RTD bus schedule. I'm heading to the bus stop right now. She was like, sure, Nikki, why not? She was like, yeah, go ahead, send me his address. And I was like, oh, are you serious? Are you serious? And she was like, yeah, send me his address. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, fucking sigh of relief. And I'm like, just like, I'm kissing the ground you walk on, bitch. Thank you so much. And so I, like, get so excited. I shoot her a text. I send her his address, and then I immediately call him and I'm like, hey, my friend is on her way to come get you. This is the type of car she's driving. She's going to pull up, you know, just head out with her. I was like, and then I'm going to meet you at the mall. And he was like, babe, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, I know I can call my mom. I'm just going to tell her that I need some air. Wherever I'm at, she'll come get me. And I was like, all right, cool. So I start getting ready, and it's time for me to get cute. So I put on my cutest outfit. I straighten my hair with my side swoop bangs and shit. It takes me a good, like, 30-45 minutes to get there, right? I had never ridden the bus to this mall before, bitch. Why was the fucking bus stop so far from the mall? Like, bus stop's right here, and then here's the sidewalk, and then a bunch of grass, and then the whole ass parking lot, and then the mall is like way over there. I get off the bus and I fucking hike this whole way to the mall, and literally like I'm sweating. Finally make it to the side where the Target is, and I go inside. I have my phone out, but you know, I'm just kind of like looking around. If I don't see them, I'm gonna text her, right? I make it like halfway down this aisle, bitch. And you know, like the area, like the intimates, okay? All of a sudden I hear Jordan's voice. And I don't know what he was saying. I just heard his voice. So like I have my phone in my hand, and you know, I'm kind of looking around, and immediately I hear his voice, and I look over and I see him and Elena at this, you know, those like, you know, those shelves that they have at Target, and it's full of chones, like different types of chones, but they're like bins. I see them standing next to one of those things full of chones, and she has a pair of chones in her hand, and she's showing them to Jordan. She was like, what do you think of these? Aren't these cute? And like, bitch, they're like lacy chones. Sitting here looking at this, and I'm like, what the fuck? Not gonna lie, bitch, like my heart dropped a little bit, and I was like, what did I just walk up on? Y'all, I literally sat there and I was like, Jordan looked up so fast, and he was like, hey, babe. So he came around that shelf so fucking fast, and he was like, hey, I'm so glad you made it okay. Oh my God, I missed you. And like really doing the most. You know, like when you catch your man's doing something suspicious and it looks real sus, and he fucking knows it. So like he does the most, and like he just really tries to, you know, oversell how excited he is to see you. Like that's what he was doing, bitch. And like he comes to me, and like I didn't even have a chance to raise up my arms to like hug him. And I'm like, I remember just kind of like standing there, and he's hugging me, and I was just looking over at Elena, and Elena looked over at me, and she like put the panties down, and she was like, hey girl, hey. Yeah, it was the most awkward moment, and I'm just sitting there, and she's just looking at me like, hey, how is the ride over? Oh my God, I was wondering where you were. Y'all, when I tell you, in that very moment, something in me was like, whoa. I think I'm starting to get a little glimpse of what the fuck my mom was seeing in you. Like, what reason is there out of the entire fucking store? Not the books, not the games, not the electronics, not the clothes. You want to go to the panties? Why the fuck are you standing near the panties with my man? It's like, what? Asking him, what do you think of these? Are these cute? Like, what? But this bitch is my ride, so I'm gonna keep it cute. So I do what I know how to do best as a 14-year-old girl, and I basically lay claim to my territory the entire time. I grab Jordan's hand, make it very apparent and evident that like, it, you know, we're together and we're here to see each other, right? Looked over at Elena, and I was like, hey girl, so do you have any stores you're gonna visit? Or like, I know that you don't think that this is like a group field trip, bitch. Honestly, y'all, I was like irritated with her. I was too young to discern that this may be a problem. I just knew that it made me jealous, and I felt jealousy. I did what every teenage girl does, and I'm just like, okay, well, we're gonna go. And, well, what stores are you guys gonna go to? And I was like, I don't know, we were just gonna like go look around. And she was not getting the hint at all. And I don't know if this was intentional or not, but she was just like, okay, well, like, let's just go look around. So she was making it to where like all three of us were gonna be together the whole time. And y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I got kind of like irritated, and I was like, bitch, like, you know what the fuck this is. Like, he's going through something with his parents. Like, I want to talk to him on my own. Like, I want to hang out with my mans by myself. Like, I appreciate you giving him a ride, but like, can you give us like a moment? And I didn't feel right to just blatantly be like, can you go somewhere? We end up going throughout the entire mall, walking together. And it was really awkward because I was trying to maintain a conversation with Elena, and then I was also trying to maintain a conversation with Jordan at the same time, and then they were being like kind of weird and short with each other. So like, it was just a very weird dynamic, and it was very tense. Like, it was very, now looking back, I understand what it is that I walked in on, like what I walked up to in that situation, but back then I did not know what that was. I just knew that it made me feel that way. Like, it made me feel jealous. When I tell you, girl, do not ignore your intuition, especially when it comes to like, I hate to say this, to your friend and your man's. There's like this specific feeling, and anybody who has had their best friend or their friend do this to them and like betray them, they know the exact feeling that I'm talking about. The tension is in the air so thick between these two when they are around each other, around you. Pay attention to that feeling, because this was my very first time feeling that feeling, and I didn't know how to identify it. I didn't even know what that meant. I I thought I was tripping, and I hadn't learned how to trust my intuition yet. Throughout the entire time, I'm like looking at both of them sideways, and it's not like a real connection between either one of us, if that makes sense. Like the way that I normally was with Jordan, like it was always so much fun, and like we would talk and laugh all the time. That wasn't this situation. And then the same thing with Elena. We would talk and laugh all the time, joke around. That wasn't this situation either. They were both acting brand new because they were around each other, and it was just really, I felt like the entire thing was moot. I felt like it was just so useless for me to have even gone, because neither one of them were being themselves, and this is very fucking awkward. Fast forward, and Jordan ends up getting picked up by his mom, and I guess his mom was actually pretty pissed that he took off. I don't know if he told her, I don't know what the fuck happened, but she was pretty pissed. So she came to pick him up kind of early from the mall. He was like, I'm sorry, I gotta go, like, you know, whatever. And I didn't get a chance to really figure out what was going on at home or how he was feeling, because obviously Elena was there the whole fucking time. He leaves, and I'm still pretty worried about him by the time he leaves, and I see his mom come up. I could see her through the window, and she did look pissed, and she was like, get your ass in the car. And so I felt bad. I felt like, you know, we got him in trouble. The entire way home, it was kind of awkward, and we just like listened to music in silence, and usually we were cutting up and like talking about all kinds of shit. And like on this day, I remember that ride home being awkward as fuck. Jordan and I are on good terms. It's like everything went back to normal after that day. He let me know that things were good with his parents. Everything's all fine. Like it's like nothing ever happened. I saw Jordan at church, and then as soon as we saw each other, like it was like nothing had ever changed. And I saw the Jordan that I knew, like not this weird version of him at the mall. And I wrote it off as he was stressed out because of, you know, his parents fighting, and that's why he was that way. We were still friends and everything. We just weren't hanging out as much because she had her job and I had mine. You know, we were hustling, making that coin. So it really wasn't a big deal. We would text, whatever. And one day she was like, dude, I haven't seen you in a while. Like, why don't we hang out? Are you off? And I was like, yeah, you know, I only work part-time. So I was like, yeah, you know, we do need to hang out. Crazy thing is, yo, I never, ever, ever let Elena into my house because, and I know that this is going to sound crazy, you know, them fucking, them Victoria's Secret body mists. Okay, bitch, she was huge on those. Okay. Like her entire car smelled like that. And then like her being smelled like that. Most importantly, Elena smoked cigarettes. That smell mixed in with cigarettes that she always smelled like, right? And I knew that her car smelled like that, her clothes, whatever. My mother has a nose like a bloodhound. I was like, bitch, no, you cannot come here. No, ma'am, too aromatic for me, okay? So I would always go meet her, right? So she was like, you know, just come over to my house. So that's exactly what I do. I go over to her house one day and we're just chilling in her living room. She made some Kool-Aid. We drank some of that, watching music videos. Everything between she and I went back to normal as well. Like everything, super normal. All of a sudden her phone starts dinging, and it dinged like 2 or 3 times, you know, enough for you to be like, well, damn, bitch, like you really getting blown up. And each time she would like look at it and be like, and then the second time, you know, she picked it up, looked at it, put it down. And then the third time, picked it up, and then she like started texting something, you know, smirking, putting it down. Real quickly, I was like, damn, girl, you're getting blown up. And she was like, nah. She was like, it's just my dad. Then her phone rings, and she answers it, and it is her dad. I can literally hear his voice on her phone. He's talking to her. She gets up. She's going in the fridge. And it seemed like he was asking her like what they had in there. And so like she starts naming off stuff that they have in the pantry and the fridge and stuff like that. And I just continue watching MTV, right? She sits down next to me on the couch, like not even 2 minutes go by, and she gets another text. She looks at it and she's like, oh my God, okay. She drops her phone. She gets up. She's like, I'll be right back. And I was like, where are you going? I gotta go get something out of my car for my dad. Like there was some documentation that like he was concerned about her car. And she was like, I gotta go show it to him. So like, I'll be right back. Let me go get it. It's in my glove box. And I was like, oh, okay. This house that she was in, it almost looked like it was on stilts. Like it was off of the ground, and it had like these wooden pillars underneath it. So her front door had stairs that went down to the driveway and like the ground, bitch. She goes to the door, and I can hear her going down the stairs. Ding! Her phone goes off. Ding! Ding! Okay. This thing was basically begging me to fucking look at it. And I was like, damn, like her dad needs to fucking chill. And so I grab her phone and I look at it. There are 3 text messages from a phone number. It's not even a contact name. It's just the number. But that number looks hella fucking familiar. I put that number into my phone. And before I'm even finished putting that number into my phone, whose fucking name pops up? Jordan. Jordan's name. Jordan's fucking name. Jordan is fucking texting Elena right now, bitch. Back to motherfucking back. He ain't even texting me right now. Like, my phone is dry as fuck right now. Why the fuck? Y'all, I'm sitting here looking. There was no passcode, no Face ID, no nothing. Swoop. This is my man. It's my motherfucking business. So I sure did. I opened her phone. I went through her text messages. Open up those text messages. Girl, why had they been texting since the day that he met up with us at the mall, bitch? They were texting back and forth. And like, for the most part, it was pretty innocent. But then it just started becoming like, why? You know what I mean? Like, hope you're having a good day today. How are you doing today? How you feeling? She asked him how the fuck his parents were. Bitch, hold on. I hear her coming up the stairs and I'm holding her phone and I'm not about to put it down. I'm not hiding. I could have, because I heard her funky ass coming up them goddamn stairs. And so she walks into the door and I'm like, why is Jordan texting you? She comes around the couch. Nikki, you went through my phone? Yes, I did, because Jordan is texting you. Why? And she's just sitting there and I was like, why y'all texting back and forth? Y'all, she sits down and she was like, are you serious right now? And I was like, yeah, I don't understand why y'all texting each other. What you mean? And she was like, fucking gaslighting up the ass, yo. Like, she was like, why would I do that to you? Like, how could you think that of me? And I was like, because my man is fucking texting you back to back to back. Like, what do you mean? Look, Nikki, she's like, it's not my fault that you're insecure. Did this bitch just call me insecure? Okay. It's not even like that. You know what he was doing? And like, I had already kind of like seen their text messages. Y'all, the minute that I opened those text messages, I went all the way to the beginning. Like, I wanted to know when they started. So I didn't really know like what was like the most recent message. And I was like, what? Like, why is he texting you? And she was like, he invited me to church. And I was like, and she just like looking at me like she really like shut my shit down. She was like, that's what he was doing. He was inviting me to church. So what, you're mad at him for inviting me to church? I had the stankest of faces on my face. You want to know why? Elena, you know how many times I invited you to my church? What the fuck you mean? I already told you that like I'm super involved in my church. That's where I met Jordan in the first place. I have told you over, y'all, her religion wasn't even the same as mine. She had told me that time and time and time again. Obviously, she's from Sri Lanka. Like, we're not the same religion at all. We don't have the same beliefs at all, which is fine. But like, I had invited her to my church and she was like, bitch, obviously, like, no, like, that's not my belief, bitch. So like, we had an agreement. So what the fuck you mean? I invited you. And she was like, that was a long time ago. And I was like, you told me no. I was like, so Jordan invites you and like what? And she was like, Nikki, tell me why. She starts in on this fucking stop story, okay? And she starts, this is how this bitch was able to get out of it with me. Because I was fucking livid. Like, don't try to spin this like I'm being crazy. I just found out that my mom is sick. We don't know how long she's gonna live. I've been talking to my dad about it. I've been really struggling. And when I went to go pick up Jordan, you know, he was telling me about his parents and I started telling him about my mom. Y'all, I had no idea about this. She had never told me about her mom. So immediately, y'all, when somebody tells you that, obviously, you know, you can't be an asshole and be like, I don't give a fuck about all that. Okay, like, you know, you can't do that. So I was like, what? Why didn't you tell me? She was like, it just never came up. And I didn't really feel like talking about it. She was like, but she spun it to where in that moment she was feeling for him. So she just told him out of convenience. And like, you know, apparently they bonded over that shit. She placed it out to me as, I'm hurting right now. Please don't be mad at me about this. I'm hurting right now. Y'all, why did I leave that house having hugged her and empathized with her? And I'm so sorry. And if you need anything, let me know. And I hope your mom's okay and keep me updated, all that shit. And I left that house really believing that and feeling bad for Elena. And I even felt bad for getting upset with her in the first place about my man's texting her multiple times back to motherfucking back for multiple days at this point. But she was able to get out of that with me because of this shit going on with her mom. And I fucking bought it. And I went home that night thinking that me and my bestie were on good terms. But little did I know that she had a whole ass plan that she was about to act out and it was definitely not going to be in my favor. Thank y'all so much for being here and chilling with me for this week's story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I could take you out of your reality even for a little bit. Definitely give this video a like if you like content like this and would like to see more like it. And if you would like to be a part of my glam fam, I would love to have you. Definitely show that subscribe button some love. I'll leave my socials down below. If you need some more Nikki in your life, you can definitely follow me over there. Thank you guys so much for always loving me and supporting me and being my ride or dies. You guys know that I would not be here without you, and I could not do this without each and every one of you guys. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you, and I will see your fine ass in my next video. Peace out, y'all.